benefits of fasting. That's what we're going to talk about. One problem with trying to tell everybody the benefits of fasting is we live in a heavily regimented medical system where most of the doctors probably don't fast. And the doctors that do are probably like a chiropractor. I've definitely spoke with some who are. And as a result, they're excluded from the medical system. So to tell you, you know exactly what fasting does to benefit a person is difficult, and I'd like to get more doctors to do it, honestly, like primary care doctors. That way they could study the effects and then report back on, you know, the real specific stuff that people need to know. It seems like a lot of people would do it, definitely these days, if we had a cooperative medical system that would, you know, just recommend it to people if it was beneficial. We have, you know, so many people die of cancer and heart disease and things like that, and I don't want to be under the illusion that it's some kind of a miracle cure, could cure everything. But we do have a lot of health problems in this society that are unexplained, and I think that it could definitely wipe out some of them in the preventative sense. As far as cancer and AIDS and stuff like that, I don't think it would help. So I guess what I'm going to do is talk about how fasting benefits me, because that's what I can tell you, you know, as a qualified person. I can tell you from my own experience what it does. I can't tell you as much medically. I do know that fasting does slow down the aging process. I personally look probably 9 years younger than I actually am. I get that all the time, and I'm in my late 20s. So it's really annoying that some people talk to me like I'll go to a store, or I'll talk to somebody who I don't really know, and they'll talk to me like somebody who's still in high school, and it fucking pisses me off because I don't like being spoken to like a child. So aside from that, it is worth the benefit. And later in life, as you get older, definitely a lot of people get uglier as they get older. But I've seen people who fast, who are older, and also people who are vegan. They tend to age more gracefully as well. I'm not necessarily a vegan. But fasting does slow down the aging process, so that's one thing that it does. Let's see here. What else does it do? Honestly, I'm going to go back to this aging process thing because in America, where we are so materialistic, looking young and kind of healthy and energetic is like a commodity. So I think a good way to get a lot of people fasting is to, you know, just tell people, you know, it improves your aging. You age more gracefully, whether you're male or female. And I guess if I got married, honestly, I would like to have my partner fast, just because I'm going to look pretty young, so I would want them to look young as well. Let's see here. And a lot of these Hollywood types, I think, would do it too if they knew what it can do for you. You know, they do all this unnatural shit just to look good. Why don't you just do fasting, you know? So, I think that's exhausting. The other thing I would say that fasting does is, once you do it, I mean, I always wanted to do it again. I'm trying to think back to the first time I did it. I was 21, and I read Herbert Shelton's book about fasting, which I would recommend anybody does who wants to do fasting. I would read the book first, and if you're diabetic or have health problems that can get severe, I would recommend trying to look into that or talking to a doctor about it. You can also go to a fasting center and do supervised fasting with one of these unofficial type doctors. So that might be safer for you. That's not what I did. And I only did it for, let's see, it was like 3 days, I think. But after that 3 days, I thought it was really awesome. I mean, the amount of clarity you experience and kind of the stillness. It's not just stillness of your mind. It's like your whole body just feels like you're just cold, like very concentrated, very focused. And intellectually, it's easy to get a lot of intellectual work done while you're fasting. Physical stuff can be tiring, but like book work, stuff with school, you can just blow through it. It's like you have all this, the energy you would usually be using to digest food you have to use for other things. People tend to live longer who fast, and they tend to have less chronic disease as they get older. Don't push me for research on that. I would love it if somebody did research, but that's the idea I get. The people I know who do it, they do tend to age more gracefully, like I said earlier. But on the second day, that's when I really started to get kind of the mental benefits of it, which is, it's kind of like meditating, or when you eat mushrooms or do acid or something like that, to kind of feel more in touch with yourself, or kind of get another perspective of your life. Yeah, you definitely feel like that. That's one of the things I like about it, is I ate mushrooms when I was in college and afterwards. And fasting is kind of like that, where it's like after you do it, you kind of changes your perspective and gives you more of a perspective on your life, so you can decide, maybe there's things you want to change or reevaluate. And you really only need to do it, I would say, like once a year is doing it, like yeah, once a year, or maybe once every 6 months for 1 to 3 days. When you do it for more than a day, you need to do a recovery period, which means you need to gradually eat small meals until you get back to a normal diet, and that takes about a week. So that's when you fast for longer than a day. So that's something to keep in mind, and if you read books about it, that's easier to understand. But basically, if you fast for 2 days and eat a really big meal, it's painful. Like, you will feel physically painful, like back pain and whatnot. And if you want to experience that, I would just try it. And if you want to tempt fate, just go ahead and try that out, because it is pretty painful to just start eating the way you were before. That being said, after the week of recovery is over, you can go back to eating just as much as you want. I mean, a lot of people eat quite a bit in this society. You don't really need to change that. I haven't. I've always been a skinny fucker, and I probably always will be, who can eat quite a bit, and I don't really gain weight. So, especially now that I'm fasting once a year for 2 or 3 days. At the 2-day mark, I had a really sweet experience. It was kind of like doing mushrooms. And I was just thinking about my life and the direction I was going. And, it's one of those things that's like Zen, whereas you can't say what it is, but you feel it or you experience it. And that's kind of how I felt. Just looking back on my life, and I was thinking about, I'm in my late 20s now. So I was thinking about my mid-20s and kind of how I had more passion in my life and how I wanted to live more like that now. So, that was on the second day. The psychological kind of high you get is really sweet, and it's natural. So you don't have to worry about like freaking out on acid. People don't really freak out while they're fasting or have like panic attacks, not unless there's some kind of a biochemical issue like low blood sugar. So what else do I want to talk about? I guess those are the 2 big benefits of fasting that I could tell you about. Not having a medical degree, a couple of religions do fast that I know of. Islam, I think they fast on like Ramadan and stuff like that. And some Christians do it, though I think it's the more evangelical kind. It's not the mainstream, kind of sane type of Christians that Zen people tend to ally themselves with. Also, some people fast to lose weight. So those are probably the areas where it's most common. Since Zen is a religion, I think incorporating fasting would be really cool. And I think a good thing to do would be to get as many people as possible to kind of get experienced in it, and to maybe get some doctors and to spread the word so that that can be more popular in Zen. I mean, since you're only doing it once a year, you know, it's not like it's a big difficulty. And I really enjoy it. I think there are a lot of benefits from it, and I would encourage you to go out and read books about it, and to try that on your own. You know, and to also be careful how you do it. But yeah, I would like to see more Zen type people, or people who are seekers, people who are pursuing enlightenment, people who are Buddhists. I like to kind of I like the open Zen kind of framework, or just kind of getting all the people getting people together who have similar interests and ideas, and encouraging them to do things like fasting that are beneficial and that like kind of make you a stronger person. I would say it makes me a stronger person. Maybe gives me more willpower, or more strength of maybe ambition as an individual, things that I want to do, and being able to go through difficult periods of time and then still be dedicated to it. So that's what I'm going to say about fasting for now, and y'all have a good evening.